Okay, here we go. So, welcome to the Common Fibers podcast. My name is Sarah Stevens, and this is episode one. I guess some of you already know me. I used to host a different podcast in a different life where I was an indie dyer, and I'm not anymore. And so I really struggled with continuing that podcast, or if I just needed to start a new one, start fresh, wipe the slate clean, so to speak. And so that's kind of what I decided to do. Um, so I guess a little background about me. Um, for those of you who don't know, I used to dye yarn for two different indie yarn companies. I helped start O Loops. I did that for about 5 years, 6 years, and then I left and started my own indie yarn company, Graceland Wool, which I did for a few years. And then life got crazy. And at some point, I kind of fell out of love with knitting and dyeing yarn and all fiber things. And it took me a really long time to find my way back. I've done a lot of reflection over the last year to kind of narrow down exactly what was going on. And truth be told, at the end of the day, I missed all of the things that I loved about knitting when I first started. All of it. I missed all the old podcasts who weren't always trying to sell something. I missed knit alongs for the sake of just knitting along, like no prizes. I missed the fun and excitement of ordering yarn for a project that I already knew that I wanted to do, and having it come in the mail and not having this giant yarn stash um, in my basement that I could go through. Like, it was just exciting. It was like Christmas when I got to do that. I missed the relationships. I missed how much people genuinely just seemed nicer. I missed the community of it. And I felt like over the last couple years, all those things that I loved so much, having fun knit nights with girlfriends, just sitting around, drinking tea, drinking coffee, having a glass of wine, and knitting about with their newest project and sharing our newest yarn purchases there. Um, anyways, all of that stuff just kind of went away. That's Kitty. I'm sure she's gonna nose around through this episode quite a bit. Um, so, anyways, I wanted to bring that love back for myself, and it's been a long journey trying to do that. Which brought me to this podcast. I thought I need a place. I want a place where we can do knit alongs that probably won't have prizes. It's just for the sake of knitting along because we love knitting. I want a place where we are supporting one another and lifting each other up and sharing in our joy and love for the craft and all the fiber things. I want to celebrate each other's accomplishments. I want to shout out new people that I'm just learning about. I want to do all of these things in a loving community. Um, so, welcome to the Common Fibers podcast. Monthly, I'm going to try and do a co host where we can just sit and knit together and talk about our projects, and it'll be a different person each time, hopefully. If that is something that you would be interested in doing, let me know. Shoot me a message, comment down below, something. Um, My plan is, like I said, to do one monthly. We'll probably do it over Zoom because it's so amazingly easy with a split screen, and we'll record the episode, and that's just how that'll go. All the other times, it's just going to be me talking about what I'm doing, what my plans are, what I'm working on, what I've finished, what my goals are. I do want to share recipes here, not just knitting things. Talk about the books that I'm using, talk about the new cool planners that I have, things like that. So anyways, if you're here for that, great, welcome. If that's not your cup of tea, that's okay too. Feel free to just, I don't know, there's so many other podcasters out there. You'll find one that you love. I'm probably not going to be everybody's cup of tea, truthfully. So that's okay. Totally okay. And if you are coming over from my Hello Grace YouTube channel, then welcome back. It's really good to chat with you. And if you are someone who's new, welcome here. And I hope you enjoy this episode. So I'm drinking coffee this morning in these cute magnolia mugs. I actually use this typically for tea at night. But my family got me these for Christmas, and it's morning. It's like 10 o'clock in the morning, so I'm still working on coffee. So grab a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, and we'll get right on going, right? That makes sense. I have a couple finished objects that I want to talk about because they are things that I finished last month in December. And then I do have a couple new works in progress, and then I have one that's languishing that I want to talk about. It's been languishing for years, actually. So let's talk about my finished objects first. I finished 4 pairs of socks in the month of December. I have set some goals for myself, and I'm just going to talk about them sporadically throughout the episode, but one of them is to knit 24 pairs of socks, and I actually last year found it very helpful. On New Year's Eve, I wound 12 skeins of yarn, and I knit through all 12 skeins. Like when one sock would get done, I'd just grab the next one, and those socks throughout the year became, you know, Christmas gifts and birthday gifts, and just I hope you're doing okay gifts, and you might need to pick me up gift because, I mean, COVID. So anyways, and when I went through those 12, then I rewound another 12, and that worked so well. And I just had 4 skeins left. So I literally plowed through, or I had 5 skeins left. I plowed through those 4, and I didn't quite make the 5th one. And it wasn't really a full skein anyways. It's one of my whips. It's a partial skein, but I really wanted to use up the yarn. So all of these socks are from last year's 24 skeins. And some of them I don't remember the names, but I want to show them to you anyways, just because I think they're fun and I'm super proud of them. And I can't wait for them to either be for me or a gift for somebody else. Okay, so this pair right here, this first pair, I'm not sure how good the lighting is. I'm trying out a new spot because I was hoping this lighting would be better. We'll see. It is a gray, and it has flecks of mocha and forest green and toffee and like cream and silver. I love this skein of yarn. This was actually a one-of-a-kind colorway that I dyed up years ago, but I'm glad to have those off my needles. And I feel like this would make a really good women's or men's sock. So that makes me really happy. Okay, another pair that I knit up were these just semi-solid blue socks. I like them. You know, I wish I had more semi-solid socks in my wardrobe. I just don't particularly care for knitting semi-solid socks. They kind of get a little boring for me. I love speckled because it just gets a nice pop of color and everything. It's fun. Okay, This was that blue skein was an old skein that I had just honestly like there was blue dye left over in one of the dye pots and I needed to soak it up. And so it just went in there and became that. Okay. This fun pair is a skein of yarn from Legacy Fiber Arts, and this is the Willy Wonka colorway. It's so fun and festive. I love it. I love it so much. There's hot pinks and purples and blues and oranges and yellowy golds, and I mean, it's just so fun. So, those. And then the last pair that I knit was this skein. It's actually more of like a purple and magenta. All different colors of purples and magentas in here. And this was also a skein of yarn that I dyed. This was a Harry Potter colorway. I don't remember the name of it. I don't. So that was years ago. So those are my finished objects. I should tell you, I knit all of my socks cuffed down with a 2.0 millimeter needle, size zeros. These are all standard 64 stitch socks, and I kind of have a recipe. If I have a full skein of yarn, I like to do 20 rounds for the ribbing, I do 60 rounds for the leg, I do drop stitch heel until there are 16 slip stitches down, I turn my heel. After I've finished doing the gusset, I do another 60 rounds before I decrease for the toe. That is my standard size 7.5 sock for me. So I knit a majority of my socks that way. The only time I change them a little bit is if I'm working on a partial skein of yarn, then I try my best to gauge what smaller size it's going to be. I don't knit a lot of bigger socks, truthfully, unless I'm asked to. Most of the people that I give socks to have between a 6.5 and a size 8 foot, and it tends to work well for all of them. Okay, so that brings me to the next socks that I'm working on. This was a partial skein of yarn. I used this skein of yarn in a sweater. I want to say it was my Sunset Highway from Caitlin Hunter. Actually, I know that's exactly where it's from. So I had a partial skein, and I don't know what I did with my scale. I lost it months ago. So I just am kind of was gauging. So I got one sock done. This is was my Grace colorway. I still love this. This blend though is on a silk. It's like a merino and silk and nylon. There might be nylon in it. It might just be merino and silk blend. Oh my gosh. Like I was apprehensive to use it for socks, but it is just incredible. So I love these. These I did knit smaller. These will not fit my foot. These most likely will fit one of my girls if I can get through them. So, which brings me to that. I got one sock done. It is knit smaller. I have this left. I've started on my second one. I'm seriously hoping there's enough because it would be so pretty to have a full, complete pair of socks out of this colorway. I'm not 100% sure there's enough. Like, when I feel them, they feel like they're close. That doesn't mean anything. And so I might end up like having the toe in a different color, which is fine. It's fine. They're just socks. At the end of the day, they're just socks, so that's completely fine. And I will have used up the last of this yarn, and I should be happy about that. So I'm okay with it. But there's a little bit of me that's kind of disappointed by the prospect of that not being the case, like that it's not going to be a complete sock. So I don't know. I'm talking myself into believing that it's okay. It's going to be just fine. We will see though. I don't know about you, but I, I actually brought 2 cups of coffee, so this one's almost done. And then I did another cup of coffee just so that way I wouldn't have to get up or pause um, this episode because I didn't want to, truthfully. Sorry, I'm looking something up really, really quick. I wanted to have this all prepared, but then um, my daughter got into my phone. Okay, looking at my time. Okay, so the other thing that I finished this year was I did design a new hat. I love it. It is a braid. It does have some symbolism to it. I did lose my mom in November to cancer. And so I wanted to design a hat that kind of reflected how I saw what was going on within my family. I have 2 brothers, and so the braid represents the 3 of us. And, while we were never very close, but I feel like we really leaned on each other and are still leaning on each other during this time. And so I really wanted something to reflect that. And then I did put um, two ridges, knit ridges that go up, and actually one represents my mom and one represents my stepdad. So, anyways, I love this hat. My son has been wearing this one. He kind of stole it. This colorway was a Madeline-Tosh one. I don't remember the name of it, but I do love it very, very much. It's like a beautiful taupey cream color with flecks of purples and forced greens in it. So he's taken this hat. He loves it. So I went ahead and cast on to another one with some old scrap yarn. I don't know if you can see this colorway very well. It's a little bit better. So I'm almost ready. I've got another repeat or so to do before I can start the decreases. I don't even know what this yarn is. I dyed this. This was like a leftover partial skein for a sweater that I did that I knit myself a couple years ago. I don't remember the name of it though. It's probably on my Ravelry page. Maybe it's on my Ravelry page. So those are like the only whips that I've been really working on. I'm hoping that next week when I podcast again, that sock will be done. I will have a new sock cast on. I might get the hat done. We'll see. I'm kind of into sock knitting right now, so I don't know if I'll pick up the hat, truthfully. But I did want to show you my basket of caked yarns. Some of them are partial skeins, you'll see, that I'm going to try and get rid of also this year. But there's more than 12 skeins in here. I think I wound like 16. And so I'm really going to focus on getting those done, and I'm excited about it. Oh, I didn't tell you the name of this hat. It's Convergent. It's Convergent. I'm sorry. And you can find this pattern available on my Ravelry page, like all of my patterns are. So it's Sarah Stevens on Ravelry. Okay, the last thing that I wanted to show you knitting-wise is my long languishing project. I started this sweater, I want to say 4 years ago. Maybe it's only 3 years ago. And I love it. That's totally not the reason why it's not done. It is color work. It's all color work. And I love color work, but only in chunks. Like, I get burnt out from it very quickly. Hence, this has been languishing for so long. Every time I finally pick it up, I work on it for like days. And I'm like, oh my God, why did I not just finish this? But I only have one more sleeve left to go. And so that's what makes me feel like this has to be done this year. I will have this sweater done this year. So this is my Guthrie. It's by Caitlin Hunter. You can see I've got one sleeve left to go. It's just freaking stunning. I messed up on the bottom, but no one's going to know that but me, right? No one's going to know. You might not even have noticed, but that's fine. Yeah, so I literally just have one sleeve. It has to be done. Because I want to wear this so much. And yeah, so anyways, this is my Guthrie. It is by Caitlin Hunter. Working on my second sleeve, and I plan to have this done this year. I'm using 2 skeins of Malabrigo Rios, and I don't even know what the color names are, but they are on my Ravelry page. So they're beautiful. That's it knitting wise. I hope that the next time that we talk, like I said, that I have a little bit more done. Time will only tell. I did want to talk to you a little bit about some things that I have set out for myself, some goals, and some things that I'm going to use to kind of help keep myself on track. So I went ahead and bought myself 4 new journals. So 5 new journals. That's so funny. I do have this one. I'll show you the inside. It's just a grid. It just is the dots. I don't even know if you can see this. And this is my daily life journal. And I have committed to the month of January to, I've also learned about myself, I'm not good at year-long commitments unless it's sock knitting. But I am good with short-term commitments, like a monthly commitment. I'm way better at that. And then if it's still working the next month, then by then it's usually just become a habit. And if it's something that's not sticking, then it's okay. I just move on to something else. So my January, one of my mental January monthly habits is I started daily journaling. It's kind of just more of a mind dump. I used to do this all of the time. Actually, I was a huge journaler. And then for a few years, I gave it up. Like, I thought that my life got too busy. But what I noticed is that, I was feeling more stressed. I was not being as accomplished as I normally was. I feel like it was because I was not dumping it all in this book and letting my mind handle the things that it needed to be working on and getting rid of the things that it didn't. So I've started doing this again. It's felt so good. So daily journaling. So I bought myself a new journal for daily journaling. And I started like 2 weeks into December. But I'm going to continue to do that through January as my years. Okay, I bought myself a new Papanichi. Okay, this is my favorite all-time favorite planner ever. I'm sure everybody has seen it, but there's monthly spreads. So like monthly ones. Then there are weekly spreads. Then there are daily spreads. And then there's always in the back just some blank grid paper. One of my goals this year is to do the 52-week challenge. And so I don't know if you guys have ever done that, but it is for financial. So go lay down. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. If by the end of the year you do this whole 52 week challenge, you end up with $1,378. So I plan to do that and do something fun with the kids with that at the end of the year. And so that's kind of my goal. But each week, there's 52 weeks. Each week, you set aside a dollar amount for that week. So maybe it's week 18, you would put $18 away. But I'm not going to do it that way. I wrote down a grid, and it has all 52. And if that week I find that I'm able to do a larger amount, then I'll do the larger amount, and then I'll cross off the box. That way, when it comes December, I'm not working on weeks, 50, 51, 52, right at Christmas time, when I'd be using that money towards Christmas. Maybe in June, it's a better time for me to put away the $52 or whatever. So that's my plan. I did put my financial amount in there, so I'm really excited about adding that and once again incorporating this. It's such a good tool if you have a lot of appointments. We have 3 kids, lots of activities. Obviously that's changed a little bit with COVID, but we've already seen it starting to ramp back up. So this is going to be my lifesaver for the next year. Okay, so I then also got this planner. It's for the month of, or for 2021. And it's a lot like the Papanichi. It has a section in the front with just monthly spreads. And then it has a weekly spread throughout the rest of it. And what I have done is I'm using it, let's see, I started on this week. I'm using it as my to-do list. So at the beginning of the day, I write down all the things I want to get done that day. Throughout the day, I cross it off. The next morning, I go through and highlight the things that were not done, move them over to the next day. Am I going the right way? Yeah. Move them over to the next day and add the rest of the things that need to be done that day that may not already be on there, and do the same thing all over again. Some days you can tell I didn't get as much done, so there's a lot of highlighting that happens, but some days I have less and a lot gets crossed off. And I find that that makes me really happy, one, that I'm crossing it off, but it also makes sure that all of the things are getting done that I need done. And some of it is doing just random housekeeping things, like do not forget you need to wash the whites today, or whatever. It's just a really good way for me to keep track of that. That keeps my stress level down. That makes me happy. And then in the monthly spread, I started adding I'm not going to show you, but each day the bill that gets automatically withdrawn from my account. So I kind of have it at a glance, okay, these things are coming out this week. Make sure we have transfer enough money over there. And I think that's really important for me also. And I just move that from month to month. And when I generate a new bill or get rid of one, then it goes off my list, off my monthly spread. So that's been really exciting, and it's been really helpful in budgeting. So this is my daily life and budget. Okay, and now the last journal that I picked up was kind of more of a fiber-inspired one. So I wanted a place where I could work on my knitting goals. It worked really, really well last year to have some goals set aside. But I'm such a pen and paper kind of person that doing that on Ravelry with cues and things like that, I don't see that I'm getting the things done that I want to get done. So I needed a notebook that I could put all of that information in. What are my knitting goals? What are my design goals? A place to keep my design thoughts. And then also Christmas gifts. As I finish one, I can write it down and check that person off. So I just wanted to show you my spread that I've come up with my knitting goals. You'll see, here's my 24 socks. I do have how many sweaters I want to knit. I do want to knit 4 sweaters for myself this year, 1 each quarter. And then some hats, because I always need to have hats around. I mean, we have 3 kids, there's 5 of us. Typically each year somebody is leaving one somewhere. It's just really good to have on hand. And then I have my design goals, which you can see I don't have very many things that that I want to design, but that's fine. Like, I feel like that's still a lot. So I do want to knock out 2 sweaters this year. I've already got 2 in the works. So if I could just have them finalized by the end of the year, that would be fantastic. I do have socks, 3 pairs of socks, and then two more hats. And so that's 7 designs. I feel like that's a lot. If I could get through even half of that, that would be amazing, but this is definitely a goal to work towards. And then I have my Christmas list spread, which isn't really a spread yet. Like, I'll eventually add people's names down here and what it is I end up knitting for them, and then I can tuck it away in a bin, and it's ready to go for Christmas. So, in a nutshell, I have decided that 2021, I'm kind of just putting myself back on track, doing the things that I love to do and figuring out how to get there. And so this is hopefully going to be my system that works for me. Okay, I do want to talk a little bit about Ravelry. So I did start a group on Ravelry. I haven't added a whole lot of content on there. I just started the group. So you can pop on over and find the Common Fibers podcast group on Ravelry. Please join if you want to join in on the conversation that we're having. There isn't one yet, but there will be, hopefully. So join in on there. And then the knit along that I wanted to focus on for January was I just want everybody to find their favorite designer and knit something from them. That's kind of my focus, is whatever that is for you. If your favorite designer is Caitlin Hunter or Andrea Mowry or yourself, whatever it is, just to celebrate that person by knitting one of their patterns, and we'll go ahead and just do a knit along, and you can post your finished objects. I think this is great because no, there's probably not going to be a prize. We're just going to do it because we love to do it, but it'll be great because then people can go back and look through and see, oh, that is so-and-so's favorite designer, and they knit this, and that's beautiful, and I really want to knit that too. So that's the plan. So January, knitting from your favorite designer, crocheting from your favorite designer, whatever that might be. Sorry. Lots of coffee. Oh, it's so funny. You can see both my coffee mugs. So that'll be January's knit along. I do have a guest already for January. I don't know when they will podcast with me yet. That part's just going to be a surprise. We'll figure out one of these weekends that we can do that. I do plan to upload content on Sundays, most likely in the morning. I don't edit. At some point I might add a beginning intro and an ending intro, exit. I don't know what it's called. But not right now. I just really wanted to get this out and see how it goes. So let me know in the comments below if this is something that you're interested in, if you liked this podcast, if you like the idea behind the podcast. I really want to know. And we'll just go from there. I did start a blog last year. I started a couple of them actually. So you can find them on Blogger. I will probably link them down below. One of them is more of a wool knitting one, and I am trying to update that like maybe once a month. I do have a cooking one, like a recipe one, where I talk about meal planning and things like that, and I try and upload that content on a semi-regular basis. I did fall off the bandwagon for a little bit because I stopped meal planning, but I did find that that was super helpful in our weekly life, and so I talk about that in the way that I do that process, a little bit more on the blog. And then I have a couple other ones, like a just day in the life of me kind. So if you're interested in those, you can check them out. Like I said, I'll put the links down below. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a really great rest of your day. I hope if you decide to join me in the knitting at least 12 skeins of your stash yarn for socks or another project. It doesn't have to be socks. I know a friend of mine is actually doing hats, and so she wound 12 skeins of yarn and she plans to do hats because she gives so many away. If that is something that you are interested in doing, I am going to create a thread on Ravelry in the group where we can talk about that. You can post a picture of your skeins of yarn wound. We can talk about what you're plugging away through. That'll be super fun. So I hope you decide to join me in on that too. So anyways, I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I hope to see you again next week. Thanks so much, you guys. Bye.